I never imagined I'd feel so hollow in my own apartment. The walls seemed smaller tonight, the air heavier. Miranda's laugh, her sly smile with him, the memory burned like acid in my chest. I stared at my phone, scrolling through messages I shouldn't have looked at. There it was, a photo of her and some man I barely knew, champagne glasses in hand, smiling like the world owed them everything. I slammed the phone on the table. "Miranda!" I shouted. The sound of my own voice startled me. My hands trembled. She looked up from her laptop as if nothing had happened. "Yes?" Her tone was casual, too casual. "Who is he?" I demanded, my voice cracking. "Explain this." I shoved the phone toward her. Miranda glanced at it briefly, then returned her gaze to me. "He's someone I've known for a while. Just a friend." "Friend?" My laughter was bitter, broken. "Friend? You're holding hands, smiling at him, planning weekends, friend? Tell me I'm wrong." "You're overreacting," she said smoothly. "I didn't do anything wrong. Why are you so dramatic?" "Dramatic?" I took a step closer, fists clenching. "Dramatic? I trusted you. I was counting on us." My voice broke, my chest tight with anger and heartbreak. Miranda leaned back in her chair, unconcerned. "And what's the point of counting if your expectations are unrealistic?" I couldn't believe the calmness in her voice. "Unrealistic? I loved you. I trusted you with everything." My words spilled out, jagged and raw. She shrugged. "Love isn't ownership. You can't dictate how I live or who I associate with." My knees nearly buckled. "So that's it? You just throw everything away?" "I'm not throwing anything away," she said smoothly. "I'm moving toward what benefits me. Isn't that what you've been telling me? Everyone looks out for themselves." I wanted to scream, to collapse, to shake her until she understood the devastation she had caused. "Is that what this is? You're leaving me for what? Status? Money?" Her eyes didn't flicker. "You're exaggerating. I'm just making practical choices. Don't take it personally," I laughed then, a sharp, empty sound. "Practical? Personal gain? At my expense?" My hands shook as I grabbed a chair and threw it across the room. It hit the wall with a crash, but she didn't flinch. "You're angry," she said. "I get that. But you need to calm down. Your reaction is excessive." "Excessive?" I choked on my words. "I've been living with you, planning a future, believing in a life we were supposed to build together. And you..." My voice cracked. "You betray me like this?" She stood up, glancing at the phone again. "I'm not betraying you. I'm choosing me. Isn't that obvious?" "Choosing you?" I stepped closer, rage and sorrow colliding in my chest. "You're choosing him. You're choosing someone else over me, over everything we've shared." Miranda tilted her head, serene, almost bored. "He offers more stability. You know that. Don't be naive. Stability?" My knees threatened to give out. "Stability doesn't excuse lying, sneaking, hiding." My fists were trembling now. "All those promises, were they lies too?" She sighed, a sound so calm it felt like nails on a chalkboard. "Promises change when circumstances change. You're making this more dramatic than it needs to be." I staggered back, the room spinning. You're cold." "Completely cold. You don't care that you've destroyed me." Miranda's expression softened just enough to make my stomach twist. "I care about myself. That's the only thing that matters. You'll understand someday." I laughed, though it sounded hollow. "Understand? I don't want to understand. I want what we had, but I guess that's gone forever." Her eyes softened, but her words didn't. "Then accept it." Life doesn't wait for sentiment. I felt the floor fall beneath me. My chest heaved, a storm of grief and disbelief. How could someone I loved, someone I trusted with everything, be so calculating, so unapologetic? "Miranda," I whispered, voice trembling. "I can't believe this." "I can't. You will," she said simply, turning back to her laptop. "Eventually you'll move on, or you'll stay stuck. That's your choice." I sank into the couch, chest tight, vision blurred. Friends called later. Texts poured in, concerned, confused, but they didn't understand. None of them could. Not the betrayal, not the emptiness, not the humiliation that settled deep in my bones. I stared at the ceiling, shaking. Rage, sorrow, and a flicker of something else. Something darker, something that whispered of change, of reclaiming power, of rising from this mess. I clenched my fists, feeling the first sparks of resolve. I won't be broken. Not by her. Not by anyone. For the first time since the betrayal, my mind sharpened. The road ahead was uncertain, but I would walk it. Not as a victim, but as someone who would rise, someone who would not be humiliated again. The apartment felt smaller, the night colder, but inside me, a fire was starting. I would survive this. I would grow. And one day, Miranda would see what she had destroyed. I woke up to silence, but it felt heavy, oppressive, almost suffocating. The apartment was the same as yesterday, but my world had shifted. Miranda's face flashed in my mind, the careless laugh she shared with him, the way her eyes sparkled with something I would never get again. I stared at the ceiling, breathing shallow. My phone buzzed, a message from a friend. I didn't open it. I didn't want the world to see the mess I had become. Why does it hurt this much? I muttered to myself. My own voice startled me. I rose slowly, moving to the kitchen. The coffee maker was untouched, the mug still on the counter from yesterday. I poured water and stared as it dripped slowly, each drop echoing in my hollow chest. Memories clawed at me. Miranda's hand brushing mine, her whispered promises, the way I thought we were building a life together. And now I felt betrayed, abandoned, humiliated. A text notification flashed. It was a photo she had sent me months ago, smiling with me at a restaurant. My stomach churned. I threw the phone across the room. Why did I let myself trust you? I whispered, voice hoarse. The ringing doorbell made me jump. I didn't answer. Not today. Not anyone. Friends would call, check in, but their words would never reach the pit of despair inside me. I sank onto the couch. I'm a fool, I muttered. Completely blind. All this time. My fist clenched, my nails digging into my palms. The letter lay on the table, forgotten, tucked away in the corner. I picked it up. Miranda's handwriting. A gift she had given me months ago, a small note enclosed. I unfolded it slowly. To my love, may we always find happiness together. I laughed bitterly, tears stinging my eyes. Happiness? She was laughing somewhere else. With him, my chest felt tight. I pressed the letter to my face, inhaling the faint scent of her perfume. It made me sick, I muttered. How can someone be so cold? A memory surfaced, her words the night before she met him. We deserve better, more than what we have. More than me. My hands shook as I remembered every detail. I slammed the letter down. I can't let this break me. My voice cracked. The room seemed smaller, the walls closer, but somewhere inside, a tiny spark of defiance flickered. I thought of work. My colleagues had noticed my absence yesterday, my distracted behavior. They didn't understand the storm inside me. I can't go back there yet, I whispered. Not like this. I grabbed a notebook, writing down every detail I could remember. The photo, the laughter, the gift, her lies. My pen scratched across the page. I need to understand. I need to be ready. Hours passed. I didn't eat. I didn't sleep. The world outside continued, indifferent. But inside, something shifted. Anger began to mingle with sadness, forming a strange, bitter clarity. I won't be a victim forever, I said aloud. My voice sounded stronger than I felt. I will rise. I will survive. And when I do, she'll see what she's lost. The phone buzzed again. Another friend checking in. I ignored it. Today I couldn't talk to anyone. I had to sit with this, face it head on, even if it hurt. The spark of clarity grew, small, fragile, but persistent. I walked to the window, staring at the city lights. They blinked, indifferent, just like everyone else. But I would not be indifferent. I would plan. I would prepare. I would grow stronger. This isn't the end, I whispered. It's the beginning. My beginning. I sank to the floor, letter in hand, breathing deep. The darkness was still there, but for the first time, I glimpsed a path forward. Pain could either destroy me, or it could sharpen me, make me better, more aware. I closed my eyes, imagining the day I'd reclaim everything she took. My heart ached, but determination anchored me. The first step was acceptance, accepting the betrayal, feeling the pain, and letting it ignite something new inside me. Hours later, I finally rose, voice hoarse, body exhausted. I whispered, I won't fall again. Not for her. Not for anyone. The apartment was silent again, but the fire inside me burned brighter. Today, despair tried to consume me. Tomorrow, I would rise. I woke to the sound of my own heartbeat, rapid, insistent, reminding me that I was alive. Somehow, impossibly, I had been given a second chance, a rewind, a chance to start before everything fell apart. My mind immediately filled with images of Miranda with him, the wealthy man, her cold laughter, and the humiliation I'd endured. "This time," I whispered, gripping the edge of the bed, "I won't make the same mistakes." The first call was from my mentor, a quiet man with piercing eyes who had guided me years ago. "Good morning," he said, voice calm, deliberate. "You sound different." "I have to be," I replied. "Everything changes from here," he chuckled softly. I suspected as much. "You're ready for a challenge. You understand what's at stake?" "I do," I said. "I won't let past betrayals define me." He paused, then said, "Watch carefully. Observe everyone. Patience now is your greatest weapon." I hung up and sat at my desk, notebook open. I wrote down everything. Miranda's habits, the wealthy suitor's patterns, my own weaknesses I had discovered the first time around. Every detail mattered. Every subtle sign was a clue. Later, at work, I noticed subtle shifts in colleagues' behavior. The sneers, the petty comments, the tiny attempts at undermining me. This time I smiled instead of snapping. "Interesting," I murmured. "Predictable." During lunch, I observed Miranda, though she didn't know I was watching. Her laughter with friends, the casual gestures, everything repeated the same way I remembered. "Unchanged," I muttered. "I see now what to anticipate." The wealthy suitor appeared briefly, unaware I knew his future moves. "He thinks he's clever," I said aloud, shaking my head. "But foresight is stronger than charm," my mentor called again. "Have you begun?" "Yes," I replied, but subtly. "I'm testing boundaries, noting reactions, planning." "Good," he said. "Remember, power is silent at first. It grows under the radar." That evening, I returned home and reviewed every interaction, every glance, every word exchanged that day. My confidence felt different, sharper, more precise. I wasn't just reacting anymore. I was anticipating. "I will rebuild," I said to the empty room. "This time it's strategic, careful, calculated." I glanced at old messages from Miranda, stored for reference. I read them without emotion now, dissecting every phrase. "So much manipulation," I muttered. "But predictable. All of it." I made a list of potential allies, people who had supported me before or shown integrity. These relationships would matter more than ever. I would strengthen bonds carefully, ensuring trust and loyalty in a way I hadn't before. At night, I stood at the window, looking at the city lights. They were the same lights I had stared at in despair, but now they symbolized possibility. "I have the knowledge," I whispered. "I have time. I can reclaim what's mine." I thought of Miranda and the wealthy man. The anger bubbled, but I let it simmer silently. "Patience," I said. "Strategy before emotion." I wrote again in my notebook, detailed observations, calculated next steps, possible scenarios. Each entry sharpened my focus, my emotional discipline, my readiness for the eventual confrontation. The days passed, each one building upon the last. I immersed myself in work, social observation, and personal refinement. Each interaction, each careful decision strengthened my resolve. "I am not the same," I whispered. "I am better, stronger, prepared." By the end of the week, I felt a quiet power growing inside me. The humiliation, the heartbreak, the despair, they had been transformed into insight, patience, and strategy. "This is just the beginning," I said, closing my notebook. "The second chance is mine to shape." I walked into the office that morning with a calm I hadn't felt in months. The fluorescent lights seemed brighter, the air crisper. My mind was precise, alert, observing everyone as though I were reading a map of intentions. "Morning," said Thomas, a junior colleague fidgeting as I approached. "Morning," I replied, scanning the room subtly. He hesitated, clearly unsure if I had noticed the smirk he'd given the wealthy suitor last week. I didn't respond. Lunch came, and Miranda appeared at the cafeteria. Her eyes met mine, the faint curve of a smile attempting charm. "Hey, I thought we could talk," she said, tilting her head. I sipped my coffee slowly. "Talk about?" I asked. My tone was neutral, detached. "About everything," she said, almost whispering, as if confession might sway me. I set my mug down. "Everything? Then let's be precise. I know about him, about your intentions. So, What is there left to discuss? Her lips tightened. I didn't think it would go this far. I mean, I thought what? I cut in softly, forcing her to meet my gaze. That I wouldn't notice? That I'd remain naive? She faltered, and I noticed it immediately. Her manipulation was failing because I had changed. My focus was unshakable. Later in the office, the wealthy suitor, David, attempted one of his subtle sabotages. A report I had prepared was missing a file, the kind of oversight he'd exploit for gossip. Funny, I muttered under my breath, opening the document from my backup folder. Predictable, he approached, feigning concern. I thought you might need help with that report. I looked at him, expression neutral. Thanks, but I had it under control, his smirk faltered. I caught the twitch in his jaw, the hesitation in his posture. He was used to intimidation working, and now it didn't. During the afternoon, I carefully observed interactions, noting subtle weaknesses. Colleagues who sought my approval too eagerly, others who tried to undermine through indirect comments. I made mental notes. Every observation was a potential leverage point. Thomas approached again. I heard what happened with your presentation last week. I mean, everyone said it was flawless. I nodded. Thank you. Preparation makes all the difference, he smiled nervously. You've changed, sir. Stronger, more confident, I allowed a faint smirk. Sometimes change is necessary. Miranda attempted one more approach before the day ended. She lingered near my desk, pretending to tidy papers. You're handling everything differently, she said. I know exactly what you thought, I interrupted, calm but firm. And it's irrelevant now. Focus on your work. That's all that matters, her face fell. She realized her attempts at influence were failing. By evening, I reviewed the day in my office. My observations, minor confrontations, and subtle victories compiled into a pattern. I saw how power shifted, not with aggression, but with patience, control, and strategic detachment. I am not the same man, I whispered, closing my notebook. I anticipate, I observe, I act, deliberately. Evening calls came from my mentor. Progress? He asked. Yes, I said, subtle. I'm consolidating influence, exposing weaknesses without revealing my hand. Karma is beginning, slowly but surely. Excellent, he replied. Patience, observation, and precision. The foundation for true power. I leaned back in my chair, thinking of Miranda's futile attempts, David's predictable maneuvering, and colleagues beginning to notice my rising confidence. This is only the beginning, I said aloud. I am in control now, quietly, strategically, ready for everything to come. I arrived at the office early, the quiet hum of computers and fluorescent lights giving me a sense of control I hadn't felt before. Today wasn't about work, it was about resolution, about setting things straight. Miranda appeared moments later, leaning against the doorway with that practiced smile. Good morning, she said, voice soft but laden with expectation. Morning, I replied evenly. I didn't look surprised, didn't waver. I just wanted to say maybe we can talk about us. I closed the folder in my hands and leaned back in my chair. Talk? About what exactly? About your plans with him? Or the deception you've already carried out? Her eyes flickered, a hint of shame or maybe fear, but she quickly masked it. I didn't mean for it to happen like this. I thought you'd understand? Understand? I asked, voice calm but sharp. You thought I wouldn't notice? You thought I'd remain weak? Tell me, Miranda, was that the plan all along? She lowered her gaze, words failing. I continued. It's over. There is nothing left to manipulate, nothing left to salvage. You're powerless here. Your guilt, your charm, it doesn't work on me anymore. Her lips trembled. Please, I held up a hand. Stop, save it. You're not convincing anyone now, not me, not anyone who matters. Focus on your own work. That's all that's left for you. She hesitated, then retreated. I didn't watch her leave. There was no satisfaction in gloating, only observation, calculation. Then David, the wealthy suitor, appeared, trying his usual subtle intimidation. He approached my desk with a mock casualness. Hey, I saw the report yesterday. You might have overlooked a few things, he said, glancing at my open files. I met his gaze calmly. I reviewed it thoroughly. Nothing was overlooked. But I appreciate your concern. His jaw twitched. Right, of course. Just trying to help. I allowed a small smile. You've been trying to undermine me for weeks, David. I noticed. Care to explain why your assistance always coincides with someone else's failure? He flushed, caught off guard. That's not what you think. I think exactly what I see, I said, voice low and deliberate. And your attempts to manipulate my work, my colleagues, and my reputation are now transparent. Your overreach has consequences, and you're about to witness them firsthand. I called a meeting, colleagues, and a few key allies present. Miranda lingered outside the conference room, curious. Everyone, I began, I've been informed of attempts to manipulate outcomes in my department, including my performance and social interactions. I want to address this directly. Gasps and murmurs spread as I laid out documented instances, emails, misdirected files, and subtle sabotage by David. Miranda's face paled, realization dawning. I also want to clarify that personal manipulation, emotional leverage, and deceit will not be tolerated here or anywhere in my professional or social sphere, I continued, eyes scanning the room. Transparency, accountability, and integrity are the only rules now. David's arrogance faltered completely, a small, tight smile failing to hide discomfort. Miranda's shoulders slumped. She had no words, no defense. The power dynamic had shifted entirely. Later, I walked past the staff area. Colleagues offered small nods, smiles, subtle affirmations. Their confidence in me, previously tentative, was now firm. Alone in my office, I reflected on the confrontations. Miranda's guilt was useless. David's schemes were exposed. My strategy, patience, and observation had allowed me to convert their attacks into validation of my authority. I picked up my notebook, writing a few lines. Power is not about force. It is anticipation, calculation, and control. Today, victory is quiet but complete. The seeds of karma have been sown, and I will tend them with care. My mentor called, and I recounted the events. Progress, he said. You confronted deceit directly, maintained control, and asserted your influence. The lesson is clear. Emotional mastery and strategic foresight are invaluable. Well done. Thank you, I replied. It feels satisfying. Not just for me, but for everyone who deserves fairness and transparency. The past is no longer a chain. I've reclaimed control. Evening settled in, and I looked out the window. The city below was alive, yet I felt untouchable, grounded, and ready for whatever challenges or opportunities might emerge. Today, I was no longer a victim. Today, I was the victor. I arrived at the office early, letting the calm hum of the building set the rhythm for the day. Today was about closure, about consolidating every ounce of influence I had reclaimed. Miranda appeared outside my office, tentative, her face a mix of fear and hope. Can we talk? She asked softly, as though careful words could undo what she had done. I didn't look up immediately. Talk about what? About the fact that you chose ambition over loyalty? That you underestimated me? Her lips trembled. I didn't know you don't, I interrupted. You have no power here. Not anymore. Your manipulation, your guilt trips, they're meaningless. You're irrelevant to what I'm building, her eyes watered. Please, I made mistakes, I stood, walking to the door. Mistakes are irrelevant. Actions matter. You've lost the ability to influence, to sway, to control anything that concerns me. That's final. She looked down, silent. No charm, no excuses, nothing left. Before she could retreat, David, the wealthy suitor, appeared at the doorway, attempting casual arrogance. Thought I'd stop by, see how things are going, he said, voice trying to sound neutral. I crossed my arms. David, I've already reviewed every attempt you made to undermine me. Every misdirection, every subtle sabotage, it's all documented. He blinked, caught off guard. I was just trying to manipulate, I said flatly. Yes, I noticed. And the consequences are clear. Your schemes are exposed, your influence is non-existent. Your overreach has made you a cautionary example. His face tightened. You don't understand? I understand perfectly, I said, calm and steady. I anticipated, I observed, and I acted decisively. That's why I'm here, standing in control while you're left with nothing. Nothing but lessons you should have learned sooner. I called a final meeting, inviting key colleagues and allies. Miranda lingered outside, curiosity evident but powerless. Today, I began, voice even and authoritative. We close a chapter. Attempts to manipulate, undermine, or exploit others for personal gain have consequences. Everyone here is accountable. Integrity is no longer optional. It is essential. I laid out the final pieces, instances of Miranda's deception, David's overreach, and the effects they attempted to impose. Every detail documented, every action traced. Whispers moved through the room. Eyes turned toward Miranda. She swallowed, no words coming. David's face was tight, lips pressed. The room was quiet, but tension hung thick. I trust, I continued, that from today forward, respect, transparency, and loyalty will guide our interactions. Anything less will meet the same scrutiny, the same consequences. Miranda's shoulders slumped. She looked smaller, diminished. Her power was gone, replaced by recognition of defeat. David's arrogance faltered entirely. He nodded stiffly, unable to speak. Later, in my office, I reflected on the confrontations. The strategy, patience, and observation had paid off. The betrayals had been exposed. Karma had unfolded in a quiet, deliberate way. My mentor called. You've cemented authority. Others now see your control and foresight. You've turned deception into an instrument of clarity. Well done. Thank you, I replied. It feels complete. Not through vengeance, but through preparation, observation, and deliberate action. That's how power is reclaimed. I reviewed my schedule, planning the weeks ahead. Every decision, every conversation now carried weight because I had mastered the game. Evening descended, city lights sparkling outside. I felt unshakable, composed, fully in command. The past had been a lesson. The betrayals had forged resilience. And now, I stood at the pinnacle, the throne of my life firmly in my hands. I woke to sunlight spilling across the room, golden and warm. It felt different now, lighter, calmer, purposeful. No anxiety clawed at my chest. No shadow of Miranda or her wealthy suitor lingered here. The phone buzzed. A message from my new partner, Sarah. Coffee on the balcony? I smiled, a real smile. Yes, I typed back, and left the apartment, feeling anticipation rather than dread. On the balcony, Sarah waited, coffee in hand, sunlight catching in her hair. Morning, she said softly. Morning, I replied, letting myself linger on her presence. Honest, steady, nothing like the turmoil I'd left behind. You look different, she observed, sipping. Calmer, stronger, I laughed lightly, shaking my head. I've been through fire. You don't come out untouched, but you do come out aware, strategic, in control. She studied me, eyes warm. You're in command now? I am, I said. Every choice deliberate. Every connection observed and nurtured. I don't let people manipulate me anymore. Not friends, not lovers, not colleagues, she smiled. I like that man. He seems whole. I looked down at her hand, intertwined with mine. I am whole. For the first time, I feel like I can trust someone entirely. I can share without fear. That's you, Sarah. The memory flickered. Miranda's smirk, her whispers to the wealthy suitor, the humiliation. My chest tightened briefly, but it was gone almost instantly, replaced by clarity. That chapter was closed. Later at the mansion, my family gathered. Conversations hummed, polite but curious. Everyone knew my story, the fall, the betrayal, the resurgence. Look at you, my father said, clapping me on the shoulder. Never thought I'd see this day. I smiled, measured. I've learned, Dad. Strength doesn't come from avoiding pain. It comes from enduring it and using it to grow. My mother's eyes glistened. You've become a man of patience and power, I nodded. Control doesn't mean dominating others. It means understanding the world and my place in it. I act deliberately, for purpose and justice. Sarah squeezed my hand. And you trust me to be part of that? Completely, I said. Trust is earned, not assumed. You've earned it, Sarah. Unlike others, you embody honesty and respect. The house staff whispered behind us, acknowledging, respectful, aware of the shift in dynamics. No manipulation could touch me here. My authority wasn't just earned. It was observed, recognized, unchallengeable. Even Miranda and the wealthy suitor had tried to reappear, sending messages or visiting, attempts at guilt or nostalgia. I read them once, then I deleted. Irrelevant. Powerless. Shadows. I walked the garden with Sarah, the wind brushing past, feeling the weight of the past fall away. Every betrayal, I murmured, was a lesson. Every loss a step toward understanding what I truly control. Myself, my decisions, my life. She smiled. And your life feels full now? Full, I said. Complete. Independent. I'm no longer defined by others' cruelty. I'm defined by deliberate action, foresight, and integrity. Later, at a small gathering with close friends, the atmosphere was light. People laughed genuinely. They knew the story, but they also saw me now, confident, composed, unshakable. One friend leaned in. "You've changed, not just in success, but in essence. Pain teaches, observation guides, patience perfects," I replied, sipping my drink. "I was forged through betrayal. Now I craft my destiny deliberately." Sarah rested her head on my shoulder. "And you share it with me?" "Yes," I whispered. "Deliberately, fully, without fear. We build together. Trust guides us, not manipulation. Love, respect, honesty. Everything else is gone." The evening descended, soft music playing, lights twinkling in the garden. I glanced around, the mansion alive yet serene. Every relationship, every connection now guided by foresight, boundaries, and purpose. I was free. I was powerful. I was reborn. As I looked at Sarah, at my family, at friends who had witnessed the journey, I realized the man who had been broken, humiliated, betrayed, and enraged no longer existed. In his place stood someone deliberate, measured, fully in command. Every betrayal, every humiliation, every manipulation, it had all led here. Not to vengeance, not to cruelty, but to mastery. I whispered to myself as Sarah squeezed my hand, warmth grounding me. This is my life, my rules, my destiny. I am no longer defined by betrayal. I am defined by mastery, trust, and deliberate choice. And with that, I stepped fully into the life I had fought to reclaim, heart steady, mind clear, future unshakable.